ETQW Network proudly presents Repair and Prepare Financial Seminar featuring Rony Francois, the credit hero, and Dr. Vanessa Vielka de Danzine. Join us for an empowering seminar hosted by Melody Randolph.
Excited about these two wonderful guests that are, will be sharing with us today, and they're going to be giving us more information about finances. And so here at ETQW, we have these workshops and these classes to keep you all informed and to help you to continue to transform your life. So, these financial classes is not just for you to take and hear this information and just put it to the side, but for you to apply this information so that you can be better. But thank you all both for coming today. Mr. Rony Francois is known as the credit hero. He is a financial literacy specialist, an advocate for credit repair expert, community advocate, and author of over 5 books on credit repair. He has relationships and he has a background history from Haiti. One of his many books is called Break the Cycle. You don't have to live with bad credit. Okay, so he sheds insight on the importance of credit and offers readers ways to repair it. Rony believes that knowledge is power and seeks to change lives as owner and operator of RonyFrancois.com, where he offers financial services to help diverse communities to stay financially literate, free from financial setbacks, and generate generational wealth for themselves and the next generation. So we are glad to have you, Mr. Francois, here today and to be able to give us information about credit repair. Our next guest is Dr. Vanessa Vielka de Danzine, is a retired NYPD detective, educator, author, speaker, community advocate, associate editor, insurance producer, tax preparer, co-host, and financial literacy consultant that offers her services to spread awareness and educate others on financial literacy and help to build wealth for undeserved communities. Her area of expertise is a collective symphony coupled with her leadership skills, making her a powerful voice for advocacy. She has authored the 4-book series, Get Your Financial House in Order, and offers her services on her website as well, which is drvanessadanzine.org. We're so glad to have them both here with us today. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Mr. Francois.
Well, thank you for that amazing introduction. I definitely appreciate it. Over the years, I've forgotten how many books I've done and all the stuff I've done. So I thank you for the reminder. And also, I want to thank you, the producer, for having you on this amazing show, amazing platform. Definitely appreciate that. I'm always humble and appreciative of an opportunity like this. Again, my name is Rony Francois, the credit hero. I kind of got into this industry kind of by accident because at one time my credit, it was really bad. It was so bad, I was hoping somebody would steal my identity. That's how bad it was. But of course, when your credit is bad, nobody's going to steal it. They only steal it when it's good. But then after a lot of trials and errors and mistakes, I was able to work on it. And then I was like, hey, you know what? There's probably other people like me that need this service. And I was just willing to just helping everybody for free to say, if you need help, just reach out, help me, I'll help you, no cost. And I was just doing it just for free. And then I also took it a step further. I'm like, what if I was able to provide tools and knowledge to people that way they could do this on their own, that way I wouldn't help them. Because remember, if you give a man a fish, he eat for a day. If teaching how to fish, he eat for life. So I wanted to break that cycle, break that generational curse. And then that's when I started writing the books. And then I took a step further than that too. I'm like, hey, you know what? We need to try to get these books into the school system. Because, when we was in school, we learned about the Pythagorean theorem, photosynthesis, we dissect the frog. We did a whole lot of stuff. I don't know if any of y'all remember that. Even at home ec, we bake cookies and we ate pies, but nothing about credit and financial literacy. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then I took a step further than that. I started studying consumer law. That's one thing that people use to get negative items off their credit report. And when it comes to repairing your credit and rebuilding it, sometimes it can be very tedious. It can also be frustrating. So one of the most common mistakes that I see people make is when they dispute a negative item, whether it's negative, whether it's inaccurate, it will come back as verified. Because when you send it out to Experience Changing Equifax, 7 out of 10 times it's gonna come back verified. And then people get frustrated and they give up. They say, well, it came back verified, so I'm just give up, let it sit on my credit report for 7, 10 years. No, there's other steps you can take in order to get the item removed. And you also have to remember, you're not getting the item removed because it's not yours. Because, let's be honest, like 7 out of 10 times, the stuff that's on a credit report, it's actually ours. You're getting it removed because it's unverifiable. They can't verify, they can't connect it to you. And then, so that's why I wrote the book, Break This Cycle, How to Live with Bad Credit, the 10 Credit Commandments, that we could actually use these books and you can utilize them and change your life, not only yours, but you can also pass that knowledge to other people, your family members, your cousins, your niece, your nephew. And again, my first book, I think, is pretty cool, Break the Cycle, because you're breaking that curse. Maybe your mom didn't teach you, maybe your dad didn't teach you, maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know. Now you have the power to change yourself. Of course, I like being the credit hero, but what if we had like 10 credit heroes? You was a credit hero, the next neighbor was the whole community credit heroes. So that's really why I'm so passionate about this, because I feel like we're at a point where we all can make a positive impact on the neighborhood. Like I said, I've been on TV before, had my own podcast, had like over a dozen magazine features. So this is nothing new. This is not something I just started like yesterday. I've really been into it because I feel like there's a need for it. And a lot of people not talking about it. Again, that's why I'm very appreciative and humble for this opportunity to talk about it. But I would definitely recommend break the cycle. You don't live with bad credit. And my thing is also too, even if you have good credit, you just might want to take it up a notch. These books are also useful. Because I had a friend of mine, she read the book, she applied the information. Within 6 months, she was in a position to get her house just from reading the book. She didn't have to buy none of my service, just from reading the book and applying the information. And all my books are easy read, less than 200 pages. You can read that, while you're on your lunch break, or while you're folding clothes, or while you're cooking dinner. You read it, you apply it. Next 30, 45 days, you'll see a positive impact.
Awesome. Wow. That is just amazing. Wow. 30 to 45 days. Okay. So you all hear that? Okay. It's guaranteed. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And so, we do have some questions. I did see some questions pop up already. And so, and I'm going to ask just a few, and then we're going to go into Dr. Vanessa. But what are the major mistakes people make that lead to bad credit, and what are the best ways to repair it? So what are the major mistakes that you think that people make that lead to bad credit?
So the two most common mistakes that people make that lead to bad credit, because there's 5 components that make up your credit score. The 2 most important ones, your payment history, which is 35% of your credit score, and the other one is your credit utilization, which is 30%, 65% right there. You pay your bills on time, and you keep your credit usage at 30%, your score will be at a good standing, because those are the 2 main factors. But what happens is, we go above that 30%, we take it to 50%, we take it to 70%, what the case might be. But I guarantee you, anybody listening, you continue making your payments on time, and you take your credit utilization from 30% to like 20%, 10%, or single digits, your score should go up, because a lot of times, those are the 2 most important factors, your payment history and your credit utilization. So you focus, because a lot of times there's other factors that you can't really focus on, but those 2 things, you can actually focus on those things.
Awesome. Yes, sir. Awesome. And so you mentioned too that you got into credit repair because you said your situation, and so you wanted to help other people as well. So do you host classes too on your own, or do you, like you had a podcast, other than books, what are you doing currently to, as well, or so people can?
I attend different speaking events, whether somebody's in real estate, whether it might be a mortgage, or somebody might have an outreach event that they're doing, or neighborhood event, community centers. I'll go and I'll speak and I'll talk about credit financial literacy, because not too many people that's out there doing it. So I don't mind, putting on the work gloves, just going out there making it happen.
Awesome. What do you do when your account goes into collections?
Okay, so there's a couple different ways. The first thing you want to do is you want to ask them for validation of debt. Basically, you reach out to this collection company. You want to ask them, hey, how can you validate the debt? And there's certain stuff that you ask them. Of course, I do have a letter for that. It's called and because they have to prove that it's actually yours. It's yours, and they think it might be yours, but a lot of times the way they get these accounts, they don't get them the correct way. First of all, they don't have a chain of custody. They have to show you how they obtain it. They have to show you they actually own it. They have to show you, hey, are they licensed in your state? So there's certain requirements that they have to have. So the first thing you want to ask for validation of that to show that's actually yours. And sometimes when you send that, they'll send you like receipts, transaction. No, but you're not telling it's mine. They have to actually prove it's yours. And then the second thing is you want to send a dispute letter to Experience TransUnion Equifax at the same time that you send the validation of debt to the collection company. And again, you have to remember credit repair, credit restoration is a process. It's not an overnight process. Your credit didn't get bad overnight. You had bad credit for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So you might not get off overnight. And everyone's credit situation is different. Something that might come off your credit within like 2 weeks, it might take somebody like a couple rounds of letters to get it off. But the thing is not to give up, not to stop, and to continue disputing. And then also too, it depends on the collections account. But let's just say you have something in collection for like $50, right? And then you're trying to make a move, you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to do business. So you have to ask yourself, like, am I really going to let this $50 collection hinder me from making that move? So now there's other options you can do. You can send a pay for delete letter. What happens is when you pay a collections account, a lot of time the companies are not going to delete off your credit report. You'll pay it, and it will show paid on your credit report. I mean, at the end of the day, a black eye is a black eye. Whether it's a paid collection or unpaid collection, it still looks bad. So if you do want to take the option that, hey, you just want to pay this $50 collections account to move on, you would send a pay for delete letter. You basically send them something, say, hey, look, this amount, you asked for this amount, but before I pay you, I want you to take it off my credit report. Once it's paid, you have to get that in writing. Because if you don't get it in writing before you pay them, it will still be, most of the time it will still be on it. So you want to you want to send a pay for delete letter if you do decide you want to pay it. And then if you do decide you do want to work on your credit, one of my books is called A Credit Lab, How to Fix Your Own Credit. It basically tells you step by step how to remove negative items off your credit for inaccurate items or stuff that you don't want on it.
Okay. Now, I know student loans, that's a big thing. Do you have any recommendations when it comes to student loans and for people who may have acquired a lot of student loan debt, and how that may affect your credit? Or I know they're changing a lot of the laws when it comes to student loans. So, what would you recommend?
So student loans can be a double-edged sword because many of us, we have student loan on our credit report that might have been for like 10, 20, 30 years, and we've been paying on it. So that's showing positive payment history. So you have to think about it. Let's just say you had them for like 10 years, right? You've been making, minimum payment, whatever, $50, $30, whatever the amount is, showing positive payment history. Now, let's just say you get that removed. So now that's a trade line that's been showing for 10 years of positive history. Now you're taking that off. It's possible your score could actually drop just from removing it. Is it possible to remove student loan off your credit report? Yes. I'll give you a code, 15 USC 6802. Basically, it says,
wait a minute, we got to put it in the chat. You said that too fast.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't know if you can, but can you just,
yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. 15 USC 6802. Basically, just in a financial institution where when you go get that car loan, you go get that mortgage, or even a student loan, they're supposed to actually give you the option if you want to opt out for that stuff on your credit report. Now, I bought many cars over the years. Not one time did the finance manager gave me the option if I wanted that on my credit report. They just showed up on the next 30, 45 days. So that's just one of the law that says, like, they have to give you the opportunity to opt out sharing your credit report if you want it. But again, and so that goes into consumer law. There's laws in place by Congress to protect your rights as a consumer. But what you don't know, you don't know. And people that know what you don't know, they're going to use it against you because you don't know it. I'll just say it one more time. What you don't know, you don't know. And the people that know what you don't know, they will use it against you. So you can actually get student loans off your credit report. But again, if it's been reporting positive payment history for 5, 10, 20 years, you take that off, your score might take a hit.
Right. Gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Yes, we're going to thank you so much for that information, Mr. Francois. And we definitely need to get your information, your books, So if you could even put that in the chat of your books and how people could go on Amazon or how they could purchase the books, that would be great. So that, that we could definitely read up on things, because I think, they always tell us, especially as colored people, you put it in the book, most likely we won't get the information. But I mean, we don't read, so we have to make sure that we stay up and reading this information that we get, that you all read the books, read that this is, for all of us, like you said, put it in writing. And most of the time, so let's make sure we stay knowledgeable, that we stay aware of our laws, of our rights as well. So we're going to get ready. Thank you, Mr. Francois. And we definitely, I know I'm going to get the book, and I definitely think that anyone else who may need it would definitely can just, purchase the book as well. But we're going to move on. Thank you so much. And if you can stick around at the end, someone else may have some more questions at the end. Okay, Dr. Vanessa, we're just getting ready and excited. We're geared up. Mr. Rony got us excited about credit repair and, just tightening up some things on our credit. For those may say, oh my gosh, they feel like it's over. I really believe that, Mr. Rony, you gave somebody hope. You gave somebody hope that, like, hey, you can get up out of this situation. And so we're going to continue to build on that hope, and we're going to get ready to turn it on over to you, Dr. Vanessa. Thank you again for coming on today. So Dr. Vanessa, you can take it away.
Thank you for this honor to be here. I really appreciate. I know it's important, the information that we shared today, and thank you, Mr. Rony, for adding to a collective event that I shared a platform with you in terms of getting people financially well. Well, I have a long history of law enforcement, but also have a history of medicine, forensic, and different backgrounds. But my thing focusing on the social determinants of health, health inequities, health inequalities, and social justice bring me to a pivotal point when I saw that there was a gap just in medicine, in the health field. I was like, wait, there has to be a gap in wealth. So when I retired, I used to sit around, think about what I'm going to do for retirement, going on 6 years retired. So within my first year, I came across a friend of mine asked me to support her. She was doing something as a consultant. I said, okay, let me go and support her. And then fast forward, I was able to support her, but I'd be able to come into a platform and shared the platform where my focus became a legacy wealth builder. Right. My thing was I've had Dr. Lynn Richardson as a mentor over the years, and we share a lot of things in common. We're working on a lot of different projects, but my thing was legacy wealth building. And I found that my focus became the wealth gap between marginalized, particularly Black and brown marginalized communities, and looking at the wealth gap and looking as we get older, for generation after generation, I find more and more families and communities living in generational debt and not really getting out of that recidivism and moving on to into generational wealth. But that became my pet peeve, and that became my focus. So now I said, well, there's so much information that's out there. Whether it's credit, like Mr. Francois mentioned, it's so much out there that people can do for themselves to kind of like close this gap. And I look, people, Black and brown people, community are like a $3 billion has buying power that we can kind of like technically shut down the economy, technically. And the thing is, it's like, well, what do we do as a people, as individuals? How are we able to kind of not necessarily get equal wealth, but how to be put in a better predicament to leave a legacy and build generational wealth. So that was my thing. So what I did one day, I said, I'll never take a cruise on my own. I never take a cruise from New York or New Jersey because I didn't like to be on the sea 2 days down, 2 days up. So 2 years ago, I decided to say, I'm going to take this cruise. And at that cruise, when I took that cruise, my focus was to build to build and write these books. So what I wanted to go solo cruise, my thing was fucking focus and strategize and get myself in order to build these books. So I decided to build and write that 4th series, Get Your Financial House in Order. So what that book series does is that I take people through 6 decades. Okay, I'm talking about transition in the 20s, leveraging the 30s, exploring the 50s, thriving, exploring the 40s, thriving in the 50s, it's stabilizing the 60s, and celebrating the 70s. And that builds that tier from the foundation, the first floor, second floor, windows, and the roof. And it builds that legacy and what people need to do. So the book is just not taking you through 6 decades, a journey of 6 decades. I also talk about a series. I always have a series there where you can assess what type of wealth are you. Are you a financial wealth? Are you a time wealth? Are you physical health? Are you a social wealth? What type of wealth are you? Right? I talk about the wealth gap between marginalized communities and those who have wealth, and to look at the timeline and say, why is the wealth gap getting only bigger and larger over time? I talk about the pain points, what keeps us stagnant, what keeps us in the predicament, in a position that we're in where we can't move to the next forward. We tend to be consumers. Everything we buy, we consume. We consume things with money we don't have, buy things that we don't need, and to be a showboat for the people who don't have. Okay, so what are we really gaining? Right? What are we really gaining? And in the books, it has all kind of, financial terms, has puzzles and things like that. It gives you a timeline. It puts it in perspective where you can be able to assess what, where you're at and what you can do. And just a food for thought is that if you just take 30 days, and if you write down every single nickel and dime that you spend just for 30 days, and at the end of the 30 days, assess where your money went just for 30 days. Right? Sometimes people walk around with just like $10 in their pocket and they just think it's, just $10 here and there, no problem. But at the end of the week, just out of 5-day week, it's $50. At the end of the month, it's $200, and you really don't see where that $200 went. Right? So there's a lot of things. So I just want to really echo something that Mr. Rony said, is that when you mentioned about school, well, why financial literacy was taken out of school is because they're teaching workers, not thinkers. Right? So that is one of the things that keep people stagnant.
Come on, Dr. Vanessa.
And keep it moving, because people thinking they're getting something. Okay, so what? You can pay your bills and go out a little bit with your to a party, an event, but then again, what does that look like? What does that really look like? At the end of the day, some people live in check to check, some people live in check to money, some people live in check to 2 o'clock, but they think they're living. And a lot of things, they put the burden on the family. But I always say there's 4 ways people leverage wealth: by insurance, real estate, bankruptcy, and taxes. That is a whole big thing. So I've learned to live my life like a business. Because there's only 2 systems. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, rich or poor, male or female, as either you're an employee or you in a business. As an employee, you only got about 7 to 8 tax deductions. As a business, you have up to 475 tax deductions. So it's really about living your life like a business and learn the rules of the game, and then play the game by their rules.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Oof. I love it. We got to get our power back. That's what I'm hearing today. Take back your power. Take back, and we have some questions too for you, Dr. Vanessa, but I just hear that so clearly, because especially us, and I don't know if I put that quote that you mentioned correctly in the chat, to teach people. That's what's really happening, because we did take it out of our schools. As you mentioned, Mr. Francois, we took it out of our schools, and it's hurting us as in our colored community. And we do need it back. And so this is one of the ways, but there's so many ways what we can do too as parents and teaching at home. This is when this comes in handy, that we take this information as well, and we help our children and we help our communities. Okay. And so thank you so much for that. What do you recommend, even with families, other than just talking about it? What can we do? I have older kids, just to talk, what can I do to help them to understand financial literacy or building wealth? What recommendations or specific tips can we give to our older kids to understand that, to grasp that, to the concept of what they're trying to do?
Well, absolutely. Kids tend to mimic what they see and what they told. Okay, so you want to teach about it, you got to be about it. Right. So in order for them to appreciate wealth, you have to be able to demonstrate what wealth looks like. And although we were talking about years ago, where a lot of people may not know really about wealth, and like you say, you only know what you know. But once you know better, you should do better. So you need to be able to speak to them about, the importance of insurance, finding ways of how they can build their wealth. with real estate, bankruptcy. A lot of Black and brown communities think bankruptcy is actually taboo, but the thing is, bankruptcy is used in communities that's not Black and brown to preserve their wealth. So it's there. You know, communities leverage the tax codes. That's why you find people in these multi-billionaires not paying taxes, because it's leveraged in the tax codes. And like you say, you want to hide something from someone, you put it in writing. They're not going to put it in the book. They're not going to read it. And these are things that sometimes you go to your tax preparer and say, oh, I want to hire my kids. Oh, they tell you, no, you can't hire your kids. Of course you can hire your kids. It's an IRS publication 15. I do taxes. Okay, so my thing is when I do the consultation, it's not just about you come to me with taxes. I'm looking at the overall picture. Like, what is your end goal, right? Do you want to do house? We do mortgages, right? Do mortgages. And what is the end goal? What do you want? How are you looking to get from point A to point B? So you want to be able to give them the idea, inclination of how to leverage their wealth, how to build wealth and then leverage it.
Yes, awesome. I love it. Real estate, that's big. That's one thing I told them. I said, we want houses, not just a house. You want land, not just, land. And so that is so good. What do you consider? I guess you kind of answered that one. Consider the best investments to make if you are between the ages. Now, oh no, you didn't answer this. What do you consider the best investments to make if you are between the ages of 25 through 35 years old? And what are the worst investments?
Okay, I cannot give you specific investments, but I would advise you to have a diversified portfolio, and that's with stocks, ETF, mutual funds, the bonds and things like that. There's different strategies for different types of volatile markets. I look at the market analysis when I'm looking at the S&P 500. Those are the largest 500 stocks. I'm looking at the Dow Jones with your blue chip stocks, your NASDAQ, your tech stocks, and your Russell 2000, which is the small caps. When I do financial analysis, fundamental analysis, I'm looking at the top down, right, for potential stocks that I may be interested in. I want to look at the PE ratio, which is the price to earnings ratio. I'm looking at the REO, the equity, the return on turn to equity. I'm looking at EPS, the earnings per share. I'm looking at the RPS, which is the revenues per share. And the thing is that when I'm looking at these things, it gives me an assessment of what is the best route for the stock that I'm looking at and the comparative stocks that I'm comparing them to in that same industry. I'm looking at the technical analysis when I'm on the trending in the stock market. I'm looking at the moving averages. So these are all different kind of techniques and stuff that people do. But at any age of investment, you want to look at your risk tolerance level. Most young people in that age group, they're more aggressive investors because they have time to recover. Most people a little bit middle, moderate, 30s, 40, they may be a little bit more moderate. They may take some chances. They have a little bit more responsibility. Normally, you may have a family setting, more bills here and there. So you're not trying to lose too much, but they're more moderate. And then when you're more conservative, so when you're much older, because now you're on the line of retirement, you're not trying to lose no money. So you want to invest, but you want to hold on to as much as possible. So you want to make some investment to get a return on your investment, but in the interim, you're not trying to lose everything either. So the worst investments that you ask for them are the ones that they going on the spur of the moment, things that are the hype, things that is trending, things that's the chatterbox out there. Exactly. Those that's like, oh, get this running, things come up there like Bitcoin and this coin and that coin and everything, like everybody's running. But the thing is that people still need to strategize. So really do your homework and do the research, but you can maximize the best opportunity for your investment.
Yeah, that Bitcoin is really crypto and Bitcoin. Yeah.
But see, the only thing about that, it's a digital currency. And the thing is, digital currencies can be stolen, right? They don't follow an index. And once your money is gone, it's gone. Doesn't follow index.
Wow.
So you gotta just be careful.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yes. Another question. Do you suggest any financial protections to take before entering a marriage, and why? And what about during a marriage?
Okay. Before entering a marriage, see what your situation is. A lot of people may have inheritance. They may have things that are given to them, things that have been discussed with the family, and you want to protect those. Nowadays, here and there, prenups may be an option for people, for individuals, and that's okay because you want to be checking your investments. During marriage, I don't think everyone should put all their eggs in one basket. People should have things separate because if something happens with somebody's credit or legality, or have some legal issues with case that you don't want it to affect yours, or affect you, nor affect the whole family. But most importantly, I think people should, before they get married, they need to sit down and have a financial consultation and go over, look at each other's financial credit reports. Because what are you getting into? Sometimes you can acquire individuals' debts and then it can become an issue. So have the conversation, and it's okay to have the conversation if you're going to look to create this union together and have a long-term connection.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So these questions that I'm next going to ask are going to be between you both. So Mr. Francois, you and Dr. Vanessa. Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. So far, I'm excited. Man, we're gaining so much information so far. Hope y'all are taking notes because they are just, they throwing everything out. They're throwing everything out here that we need to know. And so this is a question I don't think we asked yet. What are 3 key things to do to keep your finances in order that we didn't ask yet? I don't think we asked.
Okay, do you want us to just jump in?
Yep, you all can either, Mr. Rony, or either.
Okay,
Yep.
so 3 key things that I'll say to keep your financial in order. Number 1, spend less money, right? Spending is an emotional component, right? Like I said, people spend money they don't have on things they don't need and to impress the people that don't have, right? And spend less money. That's as simple as that, right? Next thing, number 2, I would say make more money. Everyone can be a consultant. Everyone and anyone can be a consultant. We do things every day. Just like Ron, you mentioned, people start asking them stuff here and there. What case you can charge people a nominal fee, become a consultant. Everyone can be a consultant. That can create your home-based business. Your home-based business is another stream of income that you can bring in. The third one, I would say, get your money back, and that's what I talk about, the tax, leveraging the tax advantages, and in cases being a business owner, where you're able to leverage those tax benefits, those tax codes.
Okay, Rony, did you want to answer anything? Thank you, Dr. Vanessa.
So there's a couple things I would probably recommend. The first thing is, like, once we do get the knowledge on how to break the cycle or make our life better, share that information with other friends and family members, because a lot of times we'll get that information, we'll hold on to it like God only made it for us. Share that knowledge that way you can break that generational curse. And the second thing, like, Dr. Vanessa mentioned, is living within your means. Because, there's some people out there that's making 50,000 that live comfortable, and some people that's making $1 million that are struggling. You have to spend less than you make. And sometimes we live in a world where we think it's impossible to do it, but that's the best way to do it. You can't spend, because if you make $1 million and you spend $1,001, you're always going to be in a hole. And that goes back to your credit piece, because the second most important component is credit utilization, spending less than you actually have. So again, the thing is, she's just sharing the knowledge, making it available for everybody. 2, living within your means. You do those 2 things, and your life will start going in the right direction. I mean, there's probably like a couple other million things I could think of, but those are like the 2 most important ones,
Definitely, that we may not want to hear, but it's so important because you have to take the time to sit down. I think you mentioned it too, Dr. Vanessa, and just to sit down and take notes. What are you spending your money on? I like how you said, take the 30 days, look over your bank statement, look over where's your money going. You first got to look and see that, and then that helps you too to then see, okay, is that, something you need to spend on, or, and what do you, to add on to that one too, Ronnie, to pull on what you said, what would you say, to spend, you said to spend some of your, take a time, don't live beneath your means. What do you recommend? Like half, what would you say would be considered living beneath your means?
So when it comes to your credit piece, the Consumer Report Agency Experience Trends Unique Facts, we have a credit limit. They want you to spend 30% or less. So when it comes to that, you never want to go above 30% on your credit cards. In the perfect world, you actually want to keep those in single digits, of 5% or 10%, to be honest with you, but you never ever want to go above 30%. when it comes to your credit.
Okay, so another question for
Wait a
you.
minute, Melody, before you move on, can I just add something?
Sure.
For those of you who have children, right? Every day, or every week, whatever case is, everyone's spending money on their kids, right? They're buying them Christmas, they're spending money for birthday, presents, whatever case you're spending money. You get a home-based business. You hire your kids. Pay your kids the salary that you, the things that you pay for them, and let them buy their own things. At the end of the year, it's a tax write-off for you as a parent, and the child doesn't pay any taxes on that. You're paying the money anyway. You can hire your kids. And this is one of the ways of having that home-based business, hiring your kids, you can get that money back.
Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. That's so important. We have another question, and I like how you all bouncing off of each other. All right, to Rony, you co-wrote your credit repair book with your children. Why was this important to you? And at what age do you think we should teach financial literacy?
So one of my books, The 10 Credit Commandment, my kids are co-authors in a book, because I remember my son, when he's about like 9 years old, like on Saturdays, way before COVID, of course, we used to actually go apartment complex, neighborhood, knock on doors, actually talk to people about credit and financial literacy, because I want him to start at a very young age. So I think the best time to talk about credit or financial literacy with kids is when they're old enough to ask for money. If they're old enough to ask for money, then they're old enough to understand it. I mean, that's the best way to put it. When you start giving them allowance, that's another way to interject it. Because one of the ways you can help kids build credit is actually adding on authorized use on your credit cards. Because a lot of time, we think we have to wait for them to turn 18 for them to get their first credit card. No, there's some bank you can be as young as 13 years old. Your parents put you on as an authorized user. By the time you turn 16, 17, about to get your first car, you might be at 750, 700 because your parents put you on as an authorized user. So back to what you said, the question is, how early should you start talking about credit finance? When they're old enough to say, Dad, Mom, can I have $1? Dad, Mom, can I have 50 cents? Then that's the best time to start talking about it.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Vanessa, did you want to add on to that?
Yes, I think one of the things also that individuals, when I tell my clients coming in for like mortgages and different things that people who need an extra boost in their credit for, they can have things like their cell phone, the utilities bills added to the credit report or of course, if they're paying it on time, right? If you're paying on time, you can have these things added to your credit report, and they will register as good status and paying on time here and there. But that's also another mechanism to help boost up the credit report. Sometimes people may say they don't have any credit, they don't have it on the credit report, but this is a start. But they can just add these things, these positive things, on the credit report.
That's good to know. Yes, thank you.
Sorry, and then to follow what you said, so not only can you deal with yourself,
keep bouncing. Yes,
but you can also do that with your rent too.
The rent and everything else.
Rental Karma, Rent Reporter. You can actually have your rent on it.
Yes,
and it will help boost your credit score too. So there's so many different, because a long time ago, in order to boost your credit score, you have to have credit cards, you have to have other debt, mortgages, whatever the case might be, loans. But now they have simplified, we can actually add trade lines onto your credit without getting a hard inquiry, without getting denied credit. Things like self-lender, Credit Strong, those things that you can actually use to add onto your credit as additional trade lines to boost your score.
Awesome. We have another question, Dr. Vanessa. How do we prepare for the inevitable death? What is the difference between a trust and a will?
Well, death is something that people don't talk about. It's not the best conversation at the dinner table, but it's something that we're all going to go through. That's the nature of the beast. But I would say if you don't have at least at minimum a will, the state will have one for you. As simple as that. So will is a documentation. Well, the whole thing with a will and trust is that you want to be able to transfer your assets. That's a way of documentation you transfer your assets. A will go through probate. A will could be contested. A will is public record, and a will has no asset protection. Right. So when you look at a trust, the trust bypasses probate. It's immediate transfer of your assets. It's the distribution of your estate. But you got to check the state you live in, because in New York, there's a right of election. And where if you admit a spouse from a trust, they can really come in and say, no, I have the right of election here in New York, where they can at least get 50% of that estate, or if there's children involved, up to a third of the estate. So if you want to exclude someone such as a spouse, you either need to get a divorce if you live in New York. They may vary in different states. But as far as the trust, there are different types of trusts. There are revocable trusts, which you be able to amend and change while you're alive. Okay, there are irrevocable trusts that once it's written or case you cannot change or amend them. There are special needs trusts. There may be individual and parents who may have special need kids, children that will be coming into an inheritance. That trust protects them and any other governmental assistance that they are receiving. Then you have charitable trusts, where some people may have been the end of their lineage and may not have children, but they can donate charity. They can leave money to a particular charity. And then of course you have the testamentary trust, which is just really created after death, and that's really pursuant to what your will was.
Thank you so much for that wisdom on that. So trust is definitely the way to go.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, we're going to open up this time for the audience to ask any questions that you may have that we have not covered yet. Dr. Vanessa and Mr. Rony already covered so much, and I loved how they bounced off of each other. It was just amazing. Or just making sure that that you or we're in under great understanding, have some good understanding of where we are in different seasons and what to do. Is another question, while I'm waiting on the audience question that we can ask. Let me see. It says here, can you both explain what is generational wealth and how to maintain and create it? I think if you can just expound on it a little bit more about to you all what generational wealth will look like and how to maintain it. I think that part is so important. Maintaining and then creating.
Okay. I'll jump in. Just to add to my last question, any type of assets you have, you want to make sure there's a beneficiary attached to it as well. Okay, so what is generational wealth? Generational wealth is the transfer of your financial assets, right? Assets and your financial wealth. It does not always have to do with money. It could deal with pictures, paintings, heirlooms, journals, books, a lot of things that can be passed down from generation after generation. So how do you want to create it? You want to create it by obtaining real estate. Real estate is one of the ways that generational wealth is obtained. Once you buy a property, that property obtains equity over the time. You could take out the equity out the property to purchase other properties, and so on and so on and so on. That is one way to kind of leverage generational wealth and maintain it, because that becomes now passive income, like hashtag mailbox money, where you're making money while you sleep, right? And then another way you can have created by insurance. I'm also an insurance producer. People think insurance is just for the dead. Insurance is also for the living. But if you have permanent policies, these policies have cash accumulation. And with this cash accumulation, you can withdraw it from the policy, and those can purchase other things as well, things that are tangible where you can build equity on and build generational wealth. Okay, bankruptcy I mentioned before. Okay, if you're in a situation, if you file bankruptcy today, if you need to, you don't lose your home. You don't lose your home. But bankruptcy is really to preserve your wealth. So that's one of the things you want to preserve your wealth and be able to build your wealth back up, and then be able to kind of like keep doing what you got to do. If you had a house that you had to file bankruptcy, you hold on to the home. That home creates equity, remove the equity from the home to keep building real estate, expanding your portfolio with real estate at that part. And then also through taxes, like I mentioned before, taxes to build wealth, you want to pay less taxes. Paying less taxes leaves you more money in your pockets.
Rony, yes. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Dr. Vanessa did an awesome job. So she pretty much summed it up all pretty much, but I can definitely piggyback on some of the stuff she said. Like she mentioned, real estate is one of the way, life insurance. And another way of creating generational wealth is through knowledge, too, passing down the knowledge. Because again, a lot of time we'll get this information and we'll just keep it like it was just made for us. And, we don't pass it down. And then it goes back to my first book, breaking the cycle, breaking that generational curse, giving that knowledge. That way the next generation will know what to do, what not to do. That way they can learn from all mistakes and basically know how to keep it. Just try to keep within your family. That way you can pass it down from generation to generation. But again, everything points back to just having that knowledge and be able to pass that knowledge to the next generation. Because I think that's very, very important. Because of course, yes, if you leave them some real estate, it's possible they could, maintain it, keep and pass it down. Life insurance, you leave them that money, they could probably do something with it. But if you give them that knowledge, that knowledge could be passed on forever and ever. That stays in their head. So again, it's very important just to share that information, share that knowledge.
Right. Can I just add something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't believe in giving children a lump sum insurance policy. Right. I believe in you have an insurance policy and make your trust the beneficiary. That money goes into the trust and you could disperse and distribute that money accordingly. Okay, it may be every year, every month for a specific occasion. And this is how you can distribute that money. And you could just really just live off the interest, depending on how much the money you have into your trust. So people that have life insurance policies, I don't believe giving children, let's say if it's $100,000, $500,000, $1 million policy. I don't believe just handing them that kind of money. Like Rony said, you need to teach them to be able to, hold on to the wealth and make their money work for them. Your money could work harder for you than you could ever work for it, right? So always learning the rules of the game and learn how to manage your money and not let your money micromanage you. But if you put it in a trust, you could say distribute X, Y, and Z, or this could be contingent upon a grandchild finishing college, or this one a gift towards their first home, or what cases. And as you distribute the money is still growing because once it's in the trust, it's gaining the interest, it's gaining money on it. On itself. So those are one of the ways that, like we said, we just really have to have the conversation. And that's really the challenge that we have as a community. We don't have the conversation because kids tend to mimic what they see.
Yeah, that was so good having these conversations. This conversation today is truly needed, more. And so you're so right. We're so right. I wish we could bring it into our schools, high schools, and especially even elementary, so yes. So we have one more question before we get ready to go and let you all go. What challenges do you both face when seeking to educate the masses on financial wellness, and what systematic issues do you believe hinder minority communities from obtaining wealth? I know that's kind of a lot of that was two big questions, and I believe they kind of go together. And one main thing, you want to encourage others in overcoming it. So I'm going to read it again. When seeking to educate, what may be some obstacles, some challenges that you may face? What are some systematic issues that you believe that hinder our communities from obtaining wealth? And one last thing that you can leave us with to encourage us in overcoming it.
Well, we can start with Dr. Vanessa, ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Well, some of the challenges that I find when I'm dealing with, when I'm talking to clients, they don't think it's possible. They don't think it's attainable. They don't see themselves with wealth because sometimes they tend to be complacent with the status quo where they are. So in other words, they be like, well, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But if it's not, yes, I agree with it. If it's not broken, don't fix it, but add some spokes to it, right? Make it stronger, make it doable, make it work. Right? That's one of the challenges where I find that people, they don't think is attainable. They're like, oh, that's not me, it's everybody else but them. But why not you? Right? And one of the things I see as far as to my systemic issues, I'm always saying the system is working how it's been designed to work. For you not to for you to be exactly where you are. Well, cases, but is that something that we have to accept as a people, as an individual, as a family? You have to teach one, each one teach one. So what I don't have to, if I don't share with my next door neighbor, we can't share it with the block. I'm always saying, okay, I bring 4 people to the table, you bring 4 people to the table. We get a code to say, you have construction, you have literacy, you have this, you plant this here, and you got to start and grow from somewhere. So it's easier to talk the talk and not walk the walk, but people have to be convinced that it's possible. Yes. And that would be the long run. That would be the start of understanding and getting the mindset of just living in generational debt. It was that, wow, what do you want your legacy to be? So I ask you to ask yourself, how do you want to be remembered when you leave here? Right? I'm always asking, do you know your great grandparents? Why is that? But you would have known them if there was a legacy. You would have known them if there was a trust. You would have known them because their name would have always been in the conversations. And these are the things that people have to get out of the mindset of living yesterday when they can move forward for today. That's what I have.
Oh, well, but that was definitely a lot. Hopefully I can back that up. I don't know if I can add too much to that because you pretty much summed it all. I would say some of the challenges that I see out there, like you mentioned, some people, they're in their comfort zone. You know, they're not really happy. They're not where they want to be, but they're in the comfort zone. So when I think of comfort zone, I think of it as a seatbelt. You're in a vehicle, the seatbelt is around you. You're limited to what you can reach, what you can touch, but it keeps you safe. You know, it keeps you there. But once you take it off, of course, you know, after you stop, you know, you're able to grab stuff, move around, do more. And that's what the comfort zone do. It kind of like holds you back. And it goes back to that mindset. Like, do you believe that you deserve it? Do you believe you deserve a better lifestyle? Do you believe that you want to change your life? And I think the mistake a lot of people make, like, you might be happy, you might be in your comfort zone, but what if you changed it for your kids? What if you changed it for the next generation? Some of us just think about the weekend. We really should be thinking about the next generation. So again, you know, of course, it's not wrong, you know, party, have a good time, you know, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but like, how about we start thinking the next generation? And a lot of us don't do that. And including me, because at one time I wasn't always this wise and mature, but we have to start thinking about the next generation. And one of the ways of doing it, like, is just breaking the cycle. It goes back to my first book. I don't know, I keep going back to that book. You got to break that generational curse. You got to break that cycle. And sometimes it has to be you, because your mom didn't do it, your dad didn't do it, your uncle not doing it, your cousin not doing it. You are the one that have to do it. Is it going to be easy? Probably not. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. Are you going to have a lot of supporters? Probably not. But you have to wake up and say, look, I'm going to be the one that break that generational curse. I'm going to be the one that make a difference. And like you mentioned, a lot of us, we don't know our grandparents or grandmothers or great uncles because they didn't leave legacy. And it's not always about money. I mean, they could have did something amazing in the neighborhood. They could have did something amazing throughout the community. Like my father, you know, he wasn't a billionaire. He didn't really leave money when he passed away. But throughout my neighborhood, a lot of people know him because of the great works that he did. So again, we have to stop planning just for the weekend, start planning for the next generation.
Absolutely.
And we don't realize, though, too, just to piggyback, I don't know if you were finished, Rony, were you finished? I'm sorry. Okay. And just to piggyback off what you said, that his voice, the voice of our parents in the neighborhood speaks volumes, because that builds relationships, that builds bonds, that builds, if you need something, because I knew your dad, so we don't think that word of mouth, that's so important too. I just thought about that even though he may not have the billionaire, but he had camaraderie. He knew the community. And because of that, they're going to look out for you, or they'll, hey, come sit at my table when you come to my restaurant, and I got you. And that speaks volumes, so that's so important that we do know our grandparents, our great grandparents, that even the community knows of them. Because of course, years ago, and even, slavery and all of that in history, they didn't have all the knowledge that we have today. All they had was all that, my grandfather worked in a cemetery. That's all he knew, it was like, he didn't know and have all the wealth and knowledge that we have today. But everybody in that city knew my granddad, and so they're like, oh, we know Red. So we just don't know the impact that we will make. And it's so important that we too have that example wherever we go, to make sure that we are leaving, because we are carrying not only the generations behind us, but the generation ahead of us. So we too have to carry that on as well. So, of course, we want the money and finances to be in order, but to let our character also speak and match as well. And I love what you put in the chat, Dr. Vanessa. Plant the seeds under trees we will never sit under. Okay, I love it. Ooh, that's good. That's good right there. I want to snap. Go ahead, Rony. Yes.
Yeah, like that. And back to the generational wealth, that's why I like my second book, The 10 Credit Commandment. I mean, I could have had other authors in it. I put my kids on it because I wanted to teach them about, just preparing for the next season, preparing for the next generation. And then, like when my time is come and I'm gone to heaven, wherever I'll be at, they can say, hey, look, I had the opportunity to write a book with my dad. I was able to do certain stuff with him. And they'll remember because of that. So again, it's about that leaving a legacy. Think about the next generation. Also, too, because the platform that my book is on Amazon. Like they'll be making money off that book forever, pretty much. So again, I'm teaching about creating generational wealth before they even knew what generational wealth was.
Exactly.
So again, that's very, very important. Again, it's not always about leaving millions. Of course, all that stuff is really good, but just creating something to say, hey, me and my father, me and my grandfather, me and my mother, we did this. That was our thing that we did. Sometimes that does make a positive impact.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, because then we're taking what history did. It's Black History Month, so we give a plug to Black History Month, but we're taking the history of those who came before us, and look what we're doing today. We're not going to allow the books in our curriculum to stop us from talking about all of the wonderful inventions that were made. And so I encourage everyone on here that even though it may not be in a book of what all of our ancestors did, that we still can share the story, just like we're passing down information about wealth. Let's pass down what our fathers and forefathers have done as well as we, continue on throughout the rest of this year, throughout the rest of this month, because we have a lot. Our color, our race, we've offered this nation a lot. And so, of course, if they won't give us our 400 and what they say, 400 acres in a mule, we still can earn it and we're still going to get it because we're going to still have workshops like these, and that we're going to still continue to, connect with Dr. Vanessa and Mr. Rony and continue to, to purchase their products and build and build and build. So we have no excuses. We have no excuses. And so it's time for us to not look at it as a weekend. I love what you said right there. Don't take a weekend. Look at it like, hey, you got to look at your life. What are you doing for the future? That little fun for 2 hours, is it worth what you could have done that could last a lifetime? So thank you all so much. I want to take this time to also just share their information again. And it is Dr. Vanessa. I'm not going to mess up your last name, Dr. Danzine. And so you can definitely look at her website, Dr. Vanessa, Danzine.org. Can you say your name for me, Dr. Vanessa, again? I love how you say it because it's your name. How we can find you and where we can purchase your information, all of your contact information, please. And then Dr. Rony can follow.
Yeah, it's Dr. Danzine.
Yes, and your website and how we can.
Yeah. Right, the website is vanessav.danzine.org.
Yes.
Put in chat.
Thank you. And then Mr. Rony, how we can find you?
Again, you can go to my website, RonyFrancois.com. And I'll put it in the chat in a couple of seconds. Again, that way you can see some of the stuff I've done. Also, if you want to purchase any of my books off, all my books on Amazon, right now you can just type my name, Rony Francois, or show all my books on there too. And then let's just say you forget all that stuff, how to contact me. I am Googleable. You can actually Google me, Rony Francois, the credit hero. And then also too, because with me, whenever I do any type of speaking event, show, podcast, whatever case, I always like to make this stuff available, to the people. Because, these books that might cost $10, $20, whatever the case might be. And some people might be in a situation where they just don't have that $20. They might not have that $10 for the ebook, whatever case might be. So what I like to do is, like anybody that's watching this, show, even the replay, the next 48 hours, the 10 credit commandments and break the cycle of how to live with bad credit. The ebooks will be available to you for free. So that's what I do. You send me an email, or you can even text me 443-738-5529, 443-738-5529. Just text me your email address, and my assistant will email you either book, the 10 Credit Commandment, or Break the Cycle, How to Live with Bad Credit. Because again, I just want to get this information out there to you. It's life changing, and if you ain't got the money, it's okay. You know what I mean? I just want to be a blessing to you. I want to be a blessing to the audience. I want to make it available. But the reason I make these ebooks available for free sometimes, there was this one young lady, I don't remember her name, it was like years ago. She lived like another state somewhere, I'm not really sure. And then she was like, I want to get your book. And I think one of the books was like $20 or whatever. She like, but I don't have the money to get it right now. And I'm saving, you know what I mean? My last check, I think I was like $10 aside. So my next check, I'm going to put 10 more so I can get your book. And that made me feel really humble, especially that, somebody's willing to save from their paycheck to get one of my books. And I even told her, I said, okay, if I would just send it to you for you to know, I want to save up and I want to buy, I want to invest in you, I want to support you. So that's why. So I'm not just giving these books away for free because they're junk. Because a lot of times when you give free stuff away, people just assume they don't have no value. It has value. It took me years to write these books, but I also understand everyone is a different financial situation. So again, for the next 48 hours, the ebooks, Break the Cycle, How to Live with Bad Credit, and the 10 Credit Command will be available to you for free. Because I don't want you to say, I can't get the information because I don't have the money. So I want to take that excuse out of the situation.
Yes. Can you put your phone number in the chat as well?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Yes. All right. So yes, these, thank you. And to the producer behind the scenes who helped, with these, for me meeting these two amazing people today. I'm so honored. And I know she doesn't want to come off camera, but she has just been a jewel. She's like my right-hand person, Angela, Fedrick-Lewis. I'm just so grateful and thankful for you, and just, thank you. And she had put everything pretty much together. I had a vision and she just ran with it. And it's just like, I thank God for, sisters like that. I call her a sister. And because she truly has been, and we've known each other for years, like since our kids are smaller. So I'm so thankful for her being just here and helping me to wrap this up. Did you have anything to say? And we want to shout out to Mojo Media as well. And so that is her business that she does. And she's also an author, and she's also a singer. So if you are looking for an artist, an author, a speaker, she'll be great as well. Producer. Shout out to Angela today. And so I'm so grateful and thankful for you. I wanted to give her a shout out in front of everyone because, some people never mention people who work behind the scenes, but she does putting out letters and everything. So I'm so grateful for her business and her ministry. And so I'm so grateful. So let's give her a shout out to Angela really quick. And so I thank you. And, because I wouldn't have been able to meet Dr. Vanessa and Rony. So thank you. I'm so excited myself on just continuing this relationship with you all and looking forward to working with you all in the future. And so I think that's all the questions, or anyone else had comments. Thank you to all who came today. Thank you for coming in the room due to any challenges we have, faced and just stood and with us, even though we started a little late. So thank you again. And so we look forward to you all in our next workshop next month, in our Coffee with the Girls here in Georgia. We're excited, February 22nd, where we'll be continuing this conversation. What happens when life starts lifing? What do we do? What do we have in place? So in February, we're going to continue to stay on this topic of finances and also on building wealth, because that's important to me. That's something I'm working towards and working on. And so I'm grateful for that as well in my life, of being aware, that we're not living for a moment, but we're living for a lifetime. So let's keep that in our hearts. Okay. Thank you to everyone so much for coming today. If that clears everyone up, and if you all have upcoming engagements, Dr. Vanessa or Mr. Rony, you all can put it in the chat too. We'd love to support and follow you all. You all probably have it on your websites. You probably can find their upcoming engagements or speaking on their websites. So we can follow them on Instagram. Let's follow them. I think I started following them now. I'm like, oh, I got to follow, because I'm sure they're throwing out nuggets. I'm telling you, this is some really great information. So let's make sure we connect with them on all social media platforms so that we can continue to grow, because that's the main objective of today, empowerment. So hopefully you all, also receive something and you you feel a little bit more confident, and walking out, when it comes to your finances. And so that's what I hope for from today, for all of you all who joined us. So thank you all, and all those who will play this back as well. So thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Vanessa, Dr. Rony, Mr. Rony. You all have anything else to share before we go today?
No, again, just want to thank you and the producer for this amazing opportunity. Anything I could do to be a blessing and support to you, even Dr. Vanessa, just a phone call away.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rony. Yes, be pulling on you. Don't say that. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Dr. Vanessa. You all have a great rest.